National Signing Day turned into another success for Kalen DeBoer and his coaching staff. We're going to go over that, talk about how Bama did in the signing class, how this thing looks, and talk a little bit of Alabama and potentially Notre Dame. Who knows? Right now, Bama is set, if things play out the way they want it, to play in the college football playoff. So we'll get into that right here on the Bama Tailgate YouTube channel. Like, subscribe, thumbs up. Let's get this show started. And I always love to do this. Roll Tide. Roll Tide, everybody. Thanks for hanging out with us on the Bama Tailgate YouTube channel. It's time for Bama Tailgate Daily. This is just the little show we drop on here for you to talk about Alabama. And how about the national signing class that Coach DeBoer and Bama put together? They were number one for a while. They lost a couple of guys down the stretch, Caleb Cunningham, and lost another guy to Nebraska. But you know what? When it was all said and done, right there where you want to be. Number two, still have one guy they're waiting on to sign in Ty Haywood, who's a 5-star. That'll help the class. But pretty cool to see Kalen DeBoer and his staff. They got 22 commitments, all signed, only 9 in state, which I think is something that Bama's going to have to improve on. But 82% of them blue chip prospects. And you get a lot of depth on that offensive line. Some big guys, Michael Carroll, Big Mike's coming to play football at Alabama. Jackson Lloyd, another big guy who's an offensive tackle. When you look around and you see this group on the line, you're going to be like, hey, man, this is some beef right here. And some really athletic guys. Micah DuBose from Theodore, Alabama, 4-star. Bama wrestled him away from Georgia. One of the first guys that Kalen DeBoer and his staff went after when they arrived in Tuscaloosa. So they made him a priority. They brought him in. Mal Waltrip, the legacy, and then when Ty Haywood signs, or if he does, then Bama will be in great shape there. But Keelan Russell, 5-star quarterback out of Duncanville, Texas, big time get for Alabama. Nationally, the number 2 quarterback. I mean, it shows again that even without Coach Saban, and we talk about Coach Saban, some of you guys are going to be in the comment section and be like, hey, it's time to move on. You're exactly right. But Nick Saban did an amazing job of recruiting. It's really awesome to see the job that Kalen DeBoer and his staff is doing in recruiting. And for Courtney Morgan and those guys to come in and get a number 2 class and only 9% of the players from Alabama, they went out to the West Coast, and you could tell that they've built some great relationships because of so many guys out from California. They were in Fresno for a while, then they ended up at Washington. So some difference makers. 5-star Dijon Lee, cornerback from Mission Viejo, guy to keep an eye on from California. And you're going to see, you run through, these are the guys that in years past probably would have played, somewhere like USC. Chuck McDonald, 4-star cornerback from California. They got Derek Meadows from Las Vegas, Nevada. That was a pretty good pickup right there. Wide receiver, kind of slid him in. The funny thing about Meadows is that he was on the same visit as Caleb Cunningham. And Cunningham was telling me that Meadows, who at the time was, I think, a Notre Dame commitment, just loved Alabama and told him, he was like, man, this guy kept talking about how much he loved Alabama. Now, he's not from California, but not too far off. Cavante Henry was a guy that they got out of Los Angeles, big edge rusher. I mean, you just go through this list, and they did a really good job out on the West Coast. Abdul Sanders and another guy from Mater Dei out there in California. So hopefully they come in and they enjoy being in the South. But all in all, a great win for Kalen DeBoer and his group to bring in the number 2 recruiting class. You still got the transfer portal. Bama's going to have to fight to keep some of their guys. You see some guys jumping into the portal. And then, after the season, we'll see what happens on that front. And then who Alabama brings in is also going to be, something to keep an eye on. But the best part about this is Alabama football right now is looking pretty good, I think, to make the college football playoff. And we've talked about scenarios, like what's the scenario that could keep Alabama out of the college football playoff? And then people say, well, what is it? Well, one of them is, what if Clemson beats SMU? See, I don't think SMU has enough wins against good teams to get them in. I don't think Miami's going to jump Alabama. I think a lot of it has to do with Alabama's strength of schedule, the winning percentage of the teams that they've played, which is as high as anyone in the country or anyone in this group. But it's also brand recognition, and I know that that's not supposed to be part of this, but it really is. I mean, look, if your brand is a brand like Alabama and you're ESPN and you paid, or TBS, whoever paid for this, you pay all that money for these games, you got to have a team or teams that people want to watch. You want that big brand. So Alabama, Notre Dame, cold South Bend, two of college football's most historical programs, and I put them 1 and 2 of all the college football teams. Going head-to-head in South Bend to me is big-time TV ratings. And for us, hey, that may be the time when we go up there and check it out. I've always wanted to watch a game in South Bend. And, if Bama makes it. So they were slated when the college football playoff show came on, and you guys watched it with Catfish and me right here, that, hey, that's kind of what we were going to do, is Bama plays Notre Dame. So a lot can change, right, depending on how these championship games turn out. But if you got Bama Notre Dame or Bama Penn State, those two matchups to me would be incredible as far as the TV market goes. And I think that plays into it. Is it fair? No, but you know what? It's a business. And it's not amateur athletics. This isn't the NFL. This is, basically and I say amateur athletics with a wink. It's a pay for play league. And they're charging a ton of money for all of these games. I think that benefits Alabama. It's a shame, though. But I feel like the future of college football is going to be an expanded playoff, because I think we're at the point now where you look at it and you go, you know what, 12 teams is cool. Why not just move it up and have all, make the field a little bit bigger, get teams in and see what happens, because most of the teams that aren't any good will lose in the first round anyway. But the only way that these teams are going to have players in these bowl games is to make the bowl games relevant. And the way to do that is make them college football playoff games. So I think that's the future moving forward. And this wasn't the bandwagon I was on at the beginning. I've always been a college football's regular season is the playoff, but I don't think that anymore. I think that the playoff, it has, every other level of football, like Mike Leach talked about when he was at Mississippi State, has a playoff. And, the college football probably needs a big playoff too. You go to look at the Alabama high school, 7A has one, 6A has one, all the other divisions of college have one. Might as well have one that's big enough to get all these teams in, because it's a shame that, Miami and South Carolina and Ole Miss aren't going to make it if Alabama makes it when they've had pretty good seasons, comparable seasons. So, but let me know what you guys think. Get in the comment section. Let me know what you guys think. Appreciate all of you for hanging out here. And again, excited about it. Tip of the cap to Bama basketball, playing North Carolina on the road and, playing this really, really tough schedule right now and fighting through a gauntlet, and this team's built to try to win a national championship and not shy of going anywhere to play a game. And that's certainly the case last night. All right, guys, like, subscribe, thumbs up. We'll talk to you soon. Roll Tide, everybody.